Akyalcin. I would like first of all you to talk about the activities of a company. In which regions is your company is participating right now, and in which regions are you going to expand in the future?
Absolutely. So INFRA Technology was formed actually in Moscow, so we are definitely active in Russia. We also have our headquarters now in Houston, Texas. And we have our pilot plant and catalyst factory in Russia. And we do have our first commercial plant that we built last year in Houston. So as far as offices, we are definitely very active in those two areas. So, but as far as developing the GTL technology and working with partners, we have been in Malaysia. We have been in Russia, we have been in Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, South America, Canada, definitely US. So we have been getting a lot of interest, and we have been going into a lot of regions and talking about our technology and seeing a lot of interest.
And could you please tell us what is the difference between LNG and GTL? And especially I would like you to talk about the price of GTL and LNG.
Absolutely. So this is a great question because we get this question all the time. We try to talk about GTL and people oftentimes get confused with LNG. They're completely different. LNG is more of a physical process where gas comes into the facility, gets cooled down and pressurized, and it actually turns into liquid for transportation purposes. But at the end of the day, the final usage of the product is still gas. So in our case, our plants are more chemical processes. We take the gas and we actually turn it into liquid. So the transportation concept is totally different. It actually allows the gas to be transported in conventional pipelines that are already existing, which is actually a very big capex reduction because you don't have to build your own gas pipelines and such. So there's tremendous difference.
And what about exactly the price of GTL and LNG? Which of them is much more expensive?
Well, LNG is a lot more expensive. We looked at some comparisons between GTL and LNG. It looks like LNG is about 4 times more expensive than GTL when you look at it apples to apples. GTL is definitely a more value-added process because you go in with the cheap gas and you come out with a very clean diesel and naphtha and jet fuel mixture, and it actually looks like water. I wish I could travel with it, but I couldn't. And it's a very high value and environmentally friendly product.
Okay, and how do you see the prospects for demand for GTL technology in the world?
I think it's tremendous. I think right now we are working with every major oil company. I think it's no secret that there's a huge gas reserves in the whole world, in every region almost that we visit, especially in the CIS. There's Azerbaijan, there's Turkmenistan, there's Uzbekistan, there's Kazakhstan, and there's a lot of countries that are looking to monetize, especially stranded gas fields, and GTL is a tremendous way to do that.
Okay, and which are the targeted markets of your company around the world?
Well, the targeted markets are definitely where we see a lot of opportunity is where there's a lot of stranded gas, and we see a lot of opportunity where there's flare gas. Because in the world right now, I think there's about 50 billion meter cubes of gas being flared, which is equivalent to about 20% of all of United States gas consumption, or in other words, about 30% of all of Europe's gas consumption. It's tremendous amounts of waste. And as you probably know, World Bank came up with a big initiative for the world's countries, flaring countries, to reduce flares by 2030. So a lot of countries are looking for ways to reduce their flare, which affects the environment in a very negative way. So we look at these type of countries, which obviously Azerbaijan produces a lot of oil, and hence flares a lot. And definitely we can help mitigate this problem. Similarly, I think in top flaring countries in the world is like Russia, there's Iran, Iraq. Everybody that produces oil pretty much has to flare. So the more oil you produce, the more flaring you're usually creating. So that's one area. And then the stranded gas, where there's not a lot of infrastructure where gas is produced. And if you're looking to monetize your gas faster and easier with your existing infrastructure, those are the countries that we look at. And CIS is definitely one of those places where there's a lot of stranded fields, and we are looking to help monetize that gas.
And could you please tell us about the environmental effect of the GTL technologies? Is it minimal, or which measures are being taken in order to minimize the environmental effect?
So the GTL technology is really environmentally friendly. For instance, our plant that we built in Houston, which U.S. has pretty stringent rules and regulations around environmental rules. We have only emissions in the SMR portion of our plant and steam methane reformer. SMR stands for steam methane reformer, which is just some burners that are burning some fuel. So with that, actually, the government gave us a permit by exception, which means that we're really not regulated. So our emissions is very, very low. We recirculate our water. So in a lot of GTL technologies, what happens is the water that's used in the process has to go through a water treatment plant and then get cleaned and bring back to the process, which is very costly. So in our case, what we do, our process keeps the water pretty clean. So we just put it through a carbon filter and put it back into the process. So it saves, tremendous amount of money in capex. And it says, you're just recirculating the water, which makes it so much more attractive.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Akyalcin.
Thank you.
That was very nice to meet you. And my questions are over.
Okay, very good, very good.